It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Good evening, Zimbabwe. Good to be back on the air after the holidays. A deserved break for the team and for yourselves, we're sure. But the world of sport continues. The action keeps coming thick and fast, and the team is in studio to deliver this edition of ZiFM Sport Wacky Wednesday, everybody. Chris Gray, Barry Benandi, Sean Tafrinika, and myself, Mike Madoda. Lots to look forward to on today's show, starting on the home front, where Highlanders coach Mark Harrison seems to have accepted the departure of his marksman Prince Dube, who is set to reunite with former teammate Bruce Kangwa at ambitious Tanzanian side Azam. In international sport, we've got the Formula One report, which is partly brought to you by Zimoko, where Mercedes Formula One boss Toto Wolff believes that his drivers Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas are now in a title fight with Red Bull Racing and Max Verstappen.
In Around the World in 60, we start in Wellington, where the final weekend of Super Rugby Aotearoa is in doubt after New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced new COVID-19 lockdown restrictions in the country. In Kentucky, Serena Williams made a winning return to the WTA Tour, but needed 3 sets to get past Bernarda Pera at the Lexington Open to set up a meeting with her sister, Venus. And in Florida, Damian Lillard scored a career high equaling 61 points to lead Portland to a critical win over the Dallas Mavericks that lifted the Trailblazers into 8th place in the Western Conference standings.
We'll then dive into the play of the day, and today is Wacky Wednesday, which feels a bit like a Manic Monday or a Topic Tuesday, but we're just going to bundle them together in terms of our music selection. Then it's straight into the beautiful game, where kickoff is in the Europa League, where Sevilla coach Julen Lopetegui is confident his side will come out on top in Sunday's Europa League semi-final tie against Manchester United after Sevilla knocked out Wolves in the quarterfinals last night. We'll build up to the UEFA Champions League action tonight, where Atalanta Gianpiero Gasperini says his team have a responsibility, quote, not to disappoint when they face Neymar and Paris Saint-Germain in the quarterfinal tonight. In updates, Manchester United will continue to pursue a deal for Borussia Dortmund winger Jadon Sancho, but have sounded out Barcelona's Ousmane Dembele as a possible alternative. And according to Roberto Mancini, Andrea Pirlo is lucky to be starting his coaching career at Juventus, but the Italy boss believes the club have made a good call. You've made a good call to tune into ZiFM Stereo and listening to ZiFM Sport on this Wednesday. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Let's get into it now with our power play. And today it's called Kings and Queens. It's part 2 of that track. It's by Ava Max. It's featuring Loaf and Sawiti.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis. From Rufaro to Barberfield, Mandava to Nyamunga, all the perfect moments in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League come together on ZiFM Sport.
Don't forget, we like to keep it interactive here on ZiFM Sport. At ZiFM Sport is the handle to follow on Twitter and Facebook. And also just search for our names on those platforms and you can interact with us in our individual capacities. We kick off on the home front. News out of Highlanders is that their coach Mark Harrison seems to have accepted the departure of his marksman Prince Dube, who is set to reunite with former teammate Bruce Kangwa at ambitious Tanzanian side Azam. Speaking from his base in the United Kingdom, Harrison said that it was always inevitable the player would eventually be sold. football intermediary Gibson Mahachi, who represents Prince Dube, held meetings with Prince and his uncle Mukokeli Dube, and then with Highlanders, where an agreement was reached with only a few loose ends left to be ironed out. And I hear, Barry, that one of those loose ends is the fact that Highlanders wants a clause inserted in the contract where they'll be able to benefit from any future sales or business done on Prince Dube. And fair dues to them. Look, in terms of development fees, a salon clause is absolutely within their purview, and I think that shouldn't be a stumbling block in any way or light. I think if Azam is genuine in terms of wanting the player and wanting the future of the player to his playing career to progress, I think they won't have any problem with that particular clause. So I see this deal being done. Also, listen, it's full credit to the boy. In truth, Prince Dube is a cut above. When you see him play, when you see his movement, when you see what he can do with the ball, and you see his goal scoring abilities and the sort of goals that he can score, he can tap in, header, from distance, link up play. He's got it all, including pace and size. So I think it's a great move for him. I would certainly think that Prince Dube is capable and able to play even in the French league right now. I think so too, Barry. Certainly a player with plenty of potential, and I don't think Tanzania will be his last stop. Now, let's take a look at Tanzania as a destination. Chris, they've had a knack of poaching our best players in recent seasons. The likes of Tabani Kamsoko at FC Platinum, who was one of the best players in the league at that time. Never to get as well, has gone over to the same team. Bruce Kangwa, I mean, he was having a barnstormer of a season in Highlanders when he left to go to Tanzania. And there have been a few other players who have gone to play in Tanzania. And it just shows you that they've got perhaps a more lucrative league, that our players feel that they can develop their career and at least earn something whilst they're at it.
Definitely. And I think that's what makes the difference between, of course, I'm sure Prince Dube would have loved to continue playing for Highlanders, but when you have an opportunity to earn more, to get greater exposure, you're going to grab it with both hands. I think the Tanzanian government is incredibly involved in sports in general. If you take a look at the Minister of Information for Culture, Arts and Sports, he's incredibly involved, especially in football, where they will, for example, right now, they've increased the quota in terms of the number of players that the top flight clubs are allowed to sign. Now they can sign up to 10 foreign players in each of their teams. So these are teams that are well aware, a country that's well aware of how lucrative their league is, what they need to do to get the best players, and they're creating the sort of environment where players from across the continent want to come and play for these particular teams. So I think they've made an intentional effort to enrich their sports, especially their football, and they do it with actual policy. So this is definitely a place that a player like Prince Dube would want to go.
And when you take a look at the situation back home here, Barry, in Zimbabwe, that statutory support, that government support is critical in laying the foundation on which corporate Zimbabwe can build. Without it, corporate Zimbabwe, more often than not, will be reluctant to invest their dollars, their hard-earned cash in this economy, in sport.
Yeah, and it starts with a decision, doesn't it? Whereby we need to decide what it is that we want to do, okay? First and foremost, to say, are we serious about sport? And do we see the potential of sport growing in the country, and also the marketing design of nation branding? Because we've seen it work to great effect for countries like England, for countries like America. Their sport are part of their nation branding metrics. And in truth, if we were to decide that, then we would know, okay, we're going to pick 3 sports. We're going to say our cricket, our rugby, and our soccer. We're going to support these to the hilt. We're going to grow them into international brands, and make sure that when someone thinks about Zimbabwe, they're thinking, if they're a sports fan, they're thinking about our football, they're thinking about possibly our rugby, they're thinking possibly about our cricket, depending on where they fall in the metric. You could see it happen in the late 90s into the early noughties, where you could jump onto a cab anywhere where there's a cricket supporter. Went to India, went to Dubai and the Middle East. You jump onto a cab, and the cab driver knows Andy Flower, knows Grant Flower, knows all of the cricketers that come out of Zimbabwe. And it's part of the nation branding thing. But it starts with that decision to know and believe that sport is the way forward.
and then we'll start getting somewhere. Right now, we don't believe that sport is the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just getting back to Prince Dube and the Highlanders, I think Prince Dube is going to be a big loss for Highlanders. They're losing players. We've seen Denzel Kumalo go to FC Platinum. They've now lost arguably one of the best players in the league in Prince Dube. He will need to replace, his intermediary, his uncle Mukokeli Dube. Oddly, of course, he was his strike partner in that game versus FC Platinum, Barry, in the Highlanders attack. But he's a player who's a bit long in the tooth. He's had a long, illustrious career as Mukokeli Dube, won the title with the Highlanders, and then, of course, went to play abroad, played in the MLS, no less. Yes. And he's actually one of the few accredited football players we have on Twitter. Because of the time that he spent in the MLS. So good player, had of course returned to play with FC Platinum, won a few titles with them, and now of course he's spending his twilight years at Highlanders. But he'll need to be replaced, won't he, Chris? Because Highlanders right now, they look like they're short on goals if they don't replace Mukokeli whenever football does return.
They'll definitely need to replace Prince Dube. You hear Harrison with some fighting talk saying, look, he's welcoming it and, it's great for the club. But as a coach, I think especially in a market like Zimbabwe where you don't have a great deal of choice, when it comes to players like Prince Dube, replacing them is incredibly difficult. If you take a look at his last season at Highlanders, incredible player. I think he scored majority of the goals for Highlanders, and they're definitely gonna need to dig deep, whether they'll be promoting some new talent, whether they'll be purchasing from possibly the money that they're going to be getting from this deal. He definitely is a big hole that they need to plug.
Prince Dube is certainly a player that Highlanders looks like they'll have to replace. If they can't, like Chris said, maybe promote one of the juniors from the youth squads. The youth squads traditionally have always produced really, really good players. Indeed, Prince Dube himself is a product of the Highlanders youth system, so they may look there. And then there are also whispers around Peter Mudua as well. Whispers around him possibly departing Highlanders to go and play abroad. So Highlanders, it's backs to the wall at the moment, looking to hold on to their best players and, of course, get the maximum value out of the ones that are leaving. This is ZiFM Sport. Coming up, we've got your local sports news roundup, cricket, basketball, as well as athletics news. And then it's the Zimoko Formula One report.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
And into our local sports news roundup, we start with cricket, where Zimbabwe cricket still hopes to salvage the Chevron's tour of Pakistan following cancellation of the proposed incoming tour by Afghanistan due to additional measures put in place by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Government, through the Sports and Recreation Commission, the SRC, notified ZC of its decision not to sanction the tour by Afghanistan, which had been scheduled for last month. Darlington Majonga, ZC Communications Manager, said they are hoping to save their international season with a tour to Pakistan subject to government approval. On to basketball news now. Our Basketball Association have remained adamant the 2019-2020 season could be finalized around October. Despite the sport being classified as high risk, the season was halted in March due to the COVID-19, with 5 matches still to be played. And despite indications the season could be voided, HBA President David Pick said it was too early to talk about the cancellation of the season. Wrap it up with athletics news, where seasoned long-distance runner Colin Makaza has set his sights on the Comrades Marathon as he prepares for his retirement. Makaza has had a fulfilling career in athletics, stretching over 2 decades after he started pursuing his passion from a young age. And as he plans for retirement, he wants to go out on a high and is looking at shifting his focus to the Comrades Marathon.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play. From sunny Melbourne to the streets of Monaco, the deserts of Bahrain to the jungles of Brazil, get up to speed on the Formula One report. The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
The Formula One Report proudly brought to you by Zimoco. Now, congratulations to the Mercedes Formula One team on their second and third place at the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Good luck at the Spanish Grand Prix this coming weekend. Now, this week we're talking about two of our Jeep products which are currently in stock and at special discounted prices. That's the Jeep Grand Cherokee and the all-new 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. It's like a sports car on stilts. We'll talk about that a bit later. Now, the Jeep Grand Cherokee in itself is the most awarded SUV on the market. It is the best 4x4 on the roads with its Super Select terrain traction management system, which makes going off-road a pleasure with only having to turn a nozzle to change driving modes. It also has unbelievable towing capacity and yet has all the interior luxury and comfort expected in an SUV with Uconnect multimedia touchscreen, Apple and Android integration, heated and cooling seats, and so much more.
Now, this large SUV is available in a 3.6-litre petrol or 3-litre diesel engine with over 70 standard safety and security features. The Grand Cherokee will also keep you and your loved ones out of harm's way. Available in multiple trims, there's a Jeep Grand Cherokee to suit your budget and your lifestyle. Now, Zimoco currently have stock of the Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland 3-litre diesel at a special discounted duty-paid drive-away price of $120,000, which includes a warranty of 3 years, 100,000 kilometers, and a first free service at 10,000 kilometers. Don't miss out on this deal while stocks last. Stay tuned for more.
Z.
All right, now Mercedes Formula One boss Toto Wolff believes that his drivers, Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, are now in a title fight with Red Bull Racing and Max Verstappen. Following his spectacular victory in the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, Verstappen lies second in the table on 77 points, 30 behind leader Hamilton, despite retiring in the first race in Austria. Prior to last weekend, Wolff had consistently cautioned that the season was far from over despite dominant performances from Mercedes in the early races, and he believes that Verstappen's Silverstone win proved that the contest is still open. Let's hear from Max Verstappen himself on the significance of his Grand Prix victory at Silverstone this past Sunday.
So far we never had the opportunity to fight with them really, so I was like, well, I'm not just gonna cruise behind. I have nothing to lose. Worst case, I'll be P3. Best case, you win the race, and that's of course what happened today. We had the right strategy. I think the tires are working really well. Of course, once the two Mercedes cars pitted, I could pick up my pace, and I never really had any tire drop-offs. So that was quite surprising. Of course, very happy with it. And then of course I came out just behind Valtteri, but of course I was on the softer compound, so I could pass him. And then again could control the gap. Then of course we pitted together, and that was just a question of who is going to be the fastest to the end. But I could see Valtteri was never really able to put the pressure on, so I was just managing that gap. But then of course at one point the team told me like maybe Lewis is going to go to the end, so then I started to speed up because of course it was like only 12 laps to go and he was like 9 seconds ahead. But yeah, clearly he was struggling with his tires, so he had to box for a new set, and of course then initially he's catching quite quick, but from my side I never had any tire drop-off, so I could just do my lap times and that was enough.
Z.
Max Verstappen it looked quite easy in the end, but in truth it took some brave decision making on the part of the driver early on in that Grand Prix for him to secure the victory, Chris.
Definitely. I think we saw some bravery. We saw guts in Max Verstappen when he had that opportunity, when he was incredibly close to Mercedes and his team was telling him, oh, you need to pull back. And he decided, you know what, if I don't make this move right now, if I don't overtake right now, I'm probably not going to be able to do it. And him going possibly against the advice of his team to do that and taking the opportunity when it came, I think for me that just highlights the kind of driver he is, how gutsy he is, and how that sometimes pays off. And clearly in this scenario where he manages to get the first on the podium. So definitely we're seeing a lot more guts. We're seeing an incredible driver in Max Verstappen, and hopefully goes forward and Mercedes actually have some kind of challenge for the rest of the season.
No risk, no reward, Mikey. And in truth, the reward for Max Verstappen of winning this Grand Prix is massive because he leapfrogged Valtteri Bottas, who's Lewis Hamilton's stablemate, into second, and now can firmly say, look, I'm well in it. And if he can continue in this light and Mercedes continues to have tire problems where the hot temperatures are affecting their vehicle, who knows?
Yeah, who knows, Barry, though I'm going to be a bit pessimistic and say it's going to take a lot more than him being daring on occasion to actually land a Formula One title. I think what is very clear is that Mercedes have a far superior car than Red Bull, and it takes more than the guts of the driver and his driving skill to actually win a world championship. So over the course of a season, a 15-race season, I think Mercedes have got a car that is more reliable, than a car that's got a more consistent output, and that's going to put the drivers, Lewis Hamilton namely, and Valtteri Bottas in good stead and give them more of a chance of landing the title than Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen himself, so many things are going to come into play over the course of the season. Can he consistently challenge during qualifying for him to be at the top of the grid, for example, to give himself a better chance versus Mercedes? Because you'll find out that, yes, once in a while he'll be able to do that, but more often than not, he's probably going to be third, fourth or fifth on the grid at the start of races, with Mercedes locking down the 1 and 2, which then almost assures one of their drivers of victory in a race. So that for me, Barry, is the concern, that Red Bull still haven't developed a car that has got a full season consistency, because that's what they need to challenge Mercedes. Verstappen himself, yes, will be brave on occasion, and this will lead to him making a challenge in races, but I don't believe that he can hold it down for the entire course of the season.
Well, they say make hay while the sun shines, and in this case it's absolutely true. Because the heat playing havoc with that Mercedes vehicle and the tires blistering very quickly in that Grand Prix. They go again to a very hot place, and that is the Spanish Grand Prix this coming Sunday. It'll remain to be seen whether Max Verstappen can yet again take advantage of the Mercedes struggles with the tires, or will Mercedes have sorted that out? For now, Lewis Hamilton is atop the standings with 107 points. In second, Max Verstappen now on 77. In third, Valtteri Bottas on 73 points, 4 behind second place Max Verstappen. And then Charles Leclerc of Ferrari is sitting in fourth, some distance away on 45 points. Lando Norris of McLaren is in fifth on 38 points. Sebastian Vettel is sitting 13th. He's only amassed 10 points this entire season. The constructors standing pretty predictable. Mercedes out in front on 180, Red Bull in second on 113, and then Ferrari in third with 55 points. The Spanish Grand Prix is on this coming Sunday.
Z.
Finally, we also have a special offer on the all-new 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT, that vehicle that Baz was telling you about. Sports car on stilts, he said. It's engineered to exhilarate. The SRT is powered by 6.4-litre V8 turbocharged engine. This vehicle is guaranteed to get your adrenaline pumping. It rewards you with a track-ready capability, exhilarating acceleration, and impressive handling. This high-performance SUV also boasts standard launch control system and Brembo brakes for awesome stopping power.
Now, the 6.4-litre V8 engine is paired with an efficient 8-speed automatic transmission with 5 drive modes: auto, sport, track, snow, and tow. Chances are snow you won't be using, certainly in Zimbabwe. And of course, there's a custom setting if you just want the vehicle to decide on your behalf. Now, the SRT features a standard quadra-track active on-demand 4x4 system and delivers 475 brake horsepower with 470 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 60 is in 4.4 seconds and a top speed of 258 clicks per hour. Say no more. My goodness, hair on your chest stuff. Just come down to our Borrowdale Sam Levy's Village showroom and check out this beast for yourself. We currently have a bright white SRT in stock at an unbelievable price, a drive-away price of $128,000, which includes 3 years or 100,000 kilometers warranty and a first service of 10,000 kilometers. Don't miss out on these special offers. Visit our showroom at Borrowdale in Sam Levy's Village tomorrow, not today, or email our sales team on sales@zimoko.co.zw for more information. You can also check us out on social media.
The Formula One Report is proudly brought to you by Zimoco, the home of F1 brands Mercedes-Benz and Alfa Romeo in Zimbabwe. Zimoco, specialized service for special brands.
Hi, I'm JC Kriel, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in Wellington, where the final weekend of the Super Rugby Aotearoa is in doubt after the New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern announced new COVID-19 lockdown restrictions in the country. Ardern and Director General of Health Ashley Bloomfield made the announcement after 4 new coronavirus cases were confirmed within the same family in Auckland. Ardern confirmed that Auckland will go into a level 3 lockdown and the rest of the country will go into level 2. The Otago Highlanders are scheduled to take on the Wellington Hurricanes in Dunedin on Saturday, while the Auckland Blues are set to host the Canterbury Crusaders in front of a sellout 43,000 crowd at Auckland's Eden Park Stadium on a Sunday. We head over to Kentucky, where Serena Williams made a winning return to the WTA Tour but needed 3 sets to get past Bernarda Pera at the Lexington Open to set up a meeting with her sister Venus. The number 1 seed, who was last in competitive action at a Fed Cup qualifier in February, lost the first set. Pera had 2 opportunities to earn a decisive break against the 23-time Grand Slam winner in the next set, but on both occasions, Williams fought back and eventually leveled before she hit top gear to win 4-6, 6-4, 6-1. We touched down in Florida, where Damian Lillard scored a career high, equaling 61 points to lead Portland to a critical win over the Dallas Mavericks that lifted the Trailblazers into 8th place in the Western Conference standings. Helping Lillard shoulder the offensive load was Carmelo Anthony, who scored 26 points on 10 of 17 shooting from the floor and 3 of 5 from behind the 3-point line. Anthony and Lillard combined for 12 of Portland's 15 made 3-pointers.
Hi, I'm Clemens Matau, Chicanini midfielder. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
There are lots and lots of big games over the weekend in the UEFA Champions League. Real Madrid falling by the wayside, as did Napoli. Manchester City marching on. Barcelona will be joining them in the bubble. We'll get to that a bit later on in our UEFA Champions League report. But before that, let's take a look at Europa Cup action, where Sevilla coach Julen Lopetegui says Manchester United are the biggest team in the world, but is confident his team will come out on top in Sunday's Europa League semi-final tie. The La Liga side set up a showdown with the 2017 winners United in Cologne with a late 1-0 victory over another English opponent in Wolves last night. Yacine Bonou saved Raul Jimenez's early penalty, and that proved a key moment, with Sevilla's pressure telling 2 minutes from time when Lucas Ocampo headed in. United, of course, beat Copenhagen 1-0 after extra time on Tuesday night, and now they await Lopetegui's men, who are seeking a record-extending 4th triumph in the competition since its rebranding in 2009. Now, United beat Copenhagen 1-0 after extra time on Monday night, and now await Lopetegui's men, who are seeking a record-extending 4th triumph in the competition since its rebranding in 2009. Sevilla, Barry, they will be waiting Manchester United. They are a team with pedigree in this particular competition.
They certainly do, and I think that was the difference between them and Wolves. I think Wolves was shown to not have the nous, the experience, the just the mental fortitude to be able to go through this game. Nuno Espirito Santo, a fantastic coach. He's done great things at Wolves, and they can be proud of what they're doing. But they had a golden opportunity here. Number one, you have to bury penalties when you're given them, Jimenez. You can miss a penalty at any point, but in truth, it was a poor penalty. We've seen him take better. And then further to that, you can't give your opponent 76% of the ball and expect that you're going to get a victory, especially with the way that the Wolves team was set up. So there's some naivety that was exposed by Sevilla, and because of that very fact, what you pointed out, they are well experienced. They've got pedigree in this competition. They know how.
Barry, let me just hear from you again on that 76% of the ball. Is that a function of Wolves, who were deliberately sitting back, or it was Sevilla who proved that technically they have superior players who are able to hold on to the ball. You know, you take a look at Eva Banega yesterday pulling strings in midfield. I mean, what a performance from the Argentine. That was a man of the match performance.
Yeah, I would say it was a bit of both, a blend of the two, because I believe it was Sevilla that forced Wolves to be unable to hold on to the ball, because the way that they pressed them all over the pitch, no matter whether it was in the attacking third, the middle third, or even in their defensive third, it was press. You could see it with ultimately Adama Traore was replaced because of the fact that every time that he got the ball, he had three players around him. And those same three players, once they won the ball back, were now available for passes as well. So Sevilla just showing great ability on the ball. And then Wolves not getting a sniff, they couldn't breathe. They literally could not breathe in that game.
Absolutely. And of course, a defeat for Wolves, bringing an end to a grueling 2019-2020 campaign that started 13 months ago and saw them play 17 games in Europe. And so Wolves will certainly be proud of what they have achieved, Chris. Here's a team that was promoted into the English top flight just a couple of seasons ago. They've built really well to a point where they are one of the most difficult teams to come up against in the English Premier League. And they'll be looking to kick on from this performance in Europe to improve, but that improvement will mean that they have to hold on to their best players.
They definitely need to hold on to their best players. Wolves is not necessarily a side that buys big, and I don't see them buying big in this transfer window. And in order for them to kick on, they're definitely going to need to hold on to the players that they have at the moment. If you take a look at their performances in Europe and in England as well, what we've seen from this team is a team that's able to challenge, a team that can mount a challenge against the top teams, against your Liverpools, against even the teams. I think we started even using them as a marker to say, look, if a team is really saying that they're getting into consistency now, teams like Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, that we were seeing an improvement from, coming against a Wolves side that was really hard to break down, I think just shows their strength as a team and how they're able to compete. So for next season, if they're able to kick on, they definitely need to continue on the same path, but retain those players, especially all of their key players.
Of course, those players, amongst them Adama Traore, who Barry spoke about, Raul Jimenez. There's been a lot of interest around him as well. Very good striker, the Mexican. And then they've got the likes of Ruben Neves in midfield, as well as Joao Moutinho. He's a bit long in the tooth, so I fancy that they'll probably hold on to him. But Barry, would you say that they are probably the most important asset at Wolves is their manager, Nuno Espirito Santo?
Absolutely. I mean, look, this is a guy who it just works. They've right the way through their promotion into the Premier League and what he's done within the Premier League. This is a team that works well with its manager. So I believe that he's going to stay quite long at Wolves. They're a club also with their construction plans for a new stadium, with their ambition to get back into Europe, their ambition to finish high up the table in the Premier League, also their ability to trouble even the best. I mean, didn't they do back-to-back against Man City this past season? Their ability to trouble the best is absolutely something we can draw strength from. And the man at the center of that, the man of the season, the person that they need to hold on to is Nuno Espirito Santo, no doubt.
Absolutely. And of course, in the other quarterfinal that was played last night, Shakhtar Donetsk of Ukraine thumped Basel 4-1 to join or to book their spot in the last four. So semi-finals are confirmed this Sunday. The first one will see Sevilla taking on Manchester United, and the second semi-finals on Monday night, it will be Internazionale taking on Shakhtar Donetsk. So United up against Sevilla. And then, of course, another test one there. The Italians, who look really good in this competition and will probably be tipped as favourites, they will be looking to get past the Ukrainians to book their place in the final. And I'm sure UEFA will be looking for possibly a United Inter Milan final. I think that one will be a glam final. But Sevilla themselves, they know their way around this competition, so they will not be discredited.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z.
The Champions League is back and Atalanta coach Gianpiero Gasperini says his team have a responsibility, quote, not to disappoint when they face Neymar and Paris Saint-Germain tonight. The Serie A side are the last Italian team left in the Champions League in what is their first appearance in Europe's top competition. Gasperini's men have become renowned as one of Italy's and Europe's most entertaining teams. They've scored 98 times in Serie A this season and have averaged 2 goals for and 2 against per Champions League match. Now, the Bergamo region was hit particularly hard by the coronavirus pandemic, and Gasperini thinks Atalanta owe it to themselves and their supporters at home to stick to their principles in this quarterfinal.
Beh, indubbiamente Neymar è uno dei più forti giocatori al mondo, quindi
without any doubt, Neymar is one of the strongest players in the world. Therefore, there's a problem for every team facing Neymar. I believe the best way to defend against him is to play well, and maybe put him every now and then in conditions to defend. That would be ideal. We will do this with our team, with our organization. We've come across many really strong players. He is one of those. And I believe that with the attention and concentration of everyone, we can try and limit his effectiveness. Mbappe is another extraordinary player who is able to make the difference on the field. However, we will prepare as if he's on the pitch. Then we'll find out tomorrow if he'll be playing.
Mikey, Atalanta are the personification of if you score 5, we will score 6, aren't they? But I don't know if that's going to work in this competition.
Yeah, I think they'll definitely be underdogs in this game versus PSG, Barry, but they will not be scared of the task at hand. They're a team that believe in their abilities. You talked about Gianpiero Gasperini. He has shown that he's got what it takes as a coach, as a tactician, the way he sets up his team, the way that he always goes out to score and to try and win matches. But the problem is that Atalanta are a side that concede a lot. And they concede a lot, Barry, because if you take a look at the players that they have in defense, in terms of their defensive pedigree, it's nowhere near the stellar names that you'll find in any of the sides that are remaining in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League. They don't have any big names. So they got guys like Rafael Toloi, they got players like Bellanova Raul, Mattia Caldara. You know, those are not names that the ordinary fan is going to do.
Zapata.
Yeah, that's in attack. At least Juventus Zapata. Now we're getting somewhere. It's a name that you may be able to recognize. So the defense, Barry, for me, doesn't have the quality. So what will carry Atalanta forward is their creativity and their goal-scoring ability. They will need to score versus PSG. They need to make this a high-scoring encounter. If it becomes a very open and attacking encounter, Atalanta will fancy their chances, because what they do have is the ability to pick apart defenses if they are given time and space. Because you mentioned Dube Zapata, he's a very good player that they have in attack there. They also have got, of course, the likes of Luis Muriel, his countryman. He's a fellow Colombian as well. He's capable of getting goals. And then the one player they're going to be missing tonight, Barry, is Josip Ilić. He's missing. He's not available for this encounter. Very creative player, able to score and to create. He's going to be missing, and he's been the playmaker in many a game, the guy who makes them tick. We talked about Eva Banega earlier on. He's that sort of player for Atalanta. He's going to be missing in this encounter. And remember, it's a one-off match. You know, there are no 2 legs in these quarterfinals. You have to win it on the night. So Atalanta, for me, underdogs. PSG, definite favorites for this one. They have the pedigree. They have the better players.
Yeah, and exactly where Mike ended, Chris, is probably a fantastic place to pick up, because if you look at PSG and the players that may not play, I mean, look at these names. Angel Di Maria, he's suspended for the time. Marco Verratti is recovering from a calf injury. Kylian Mbappe may not make an appearance. Just those 3 alone who are not going to be in the game. And then you think to yourself, Thomas Tuchel is still going to be able to put apart a formidable side. On paper, it's a mismatch, isn't it?
It's a bit of a mismatch, and even since resuming the season, they've been in incredible form. They've won every game. They've picked up the Coupe de la Ligue, French Cup trophies along the way as well. So I think they're going to be They've got Mauro Icardi as well, who'd be up for a big performance. And look, it's on paper, definitely PSG has what it takes. But Atalanta is going to be one of those sides that's obviously they've come from a great run just now in Serie A. So getting into this now, they possibly have the form to trouble PSG, but I don't think that even if you look at the PSG side on paper, that they'll be able to necessarily break them down and win this, because like you said, they only have this opportunity to do so. There's not going to be a second leg. So if they're able to, brilliant, but PSG looks strong.
Make it an open game was your statement, Mike, as a strategy. And ultimately what you're therefore saying is that at the end of 90 minutes, Atalanta should have more goals than PSG. Is that possible?
It's possible, Barry. It's going to be a tough ask, but Atalanta can score. They do have players that can stick the ball into the back of the net. I mean, 98 goals in Serie A. They outscored Juventus by 20-odd goals. And Juventus were the league champions. They outscored Inter Milan by 20-odd goals. And those were two of the best sides in Serie A, manned by far better players.
In one of the leagues with the toughest defenses, so that's certainly a feat to be applauded. This is a team that can unlock defenses. Now, give me your result, Michael. How does it end tonight?
I think it may end 3-1 in favour of PSG. I think PSG will defend better. They got more experience. Right. You take a look at their defenders. Marquinhos. The likes of Kepembe. Those guys, Juan Bernat playing as a fullback, they've been there in this competition with other teams. Yes, PSG hasn't done well, but up against an Atalanta side who are also new to this particular level of competition in this particular competition, I think PSG have got the better defenders, and I think the team that defends better for me is going to win this one. So I fancy that PSG will defend better, and as a result, they'll win this one 3-1.
Okay, PSG to win it 3-1. They're on the easier side of the draw, so they could go deep in this competition if they get a result tonight. Chris, go.
2-1 for me. I think it's going to be a little bit closer, but definitely PSG to take this one.
2-1. 3 goals in it. Mike reckons 4 goals in it. I am going for an Atalanta victory, and it's going to be 3-2. I can't even believe it myself. I'm laughing so PSG is going to sweep them aside, I reckon. There's a match tomorrow night as well. Red Bull Leipzig will take on Atletico Madrid. There's a game every single night for the next 4 nights in the quarterfinals of the Champions League.
The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Velotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of!
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Franck Ribéry seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
According to Roberto Mancini, Andrea Pirlo is lucky to be starting his coaching career at Juventus, but the Italy boss believes the club have made a good call. Pirlo was appointed as Juve's new head coach on Saturday, a matter of hours after Maurizio Sarri was relieved of his duties. Sarri led Juve to a 9th straight Serie A crown this season, but failed to improve their standing in the Champions League as they headed out on the away goals rule against Lyon in the last 16 last Friday. Barry, if you take a look at this appointment, he's coming into this with almost zero experience in terms of coaching, managing. But if he manages half as good as he was a player, then Juventus have definitely got something going here.
Yeah, look, in truth, experience is a little bit overrated. I think Juventus, the hierarchy over there, saw something that they liked. And also he's a guy who understands the club. And in truth, he's got more than enough experience. 1 week with the under-23s, I think is perfect. They saw enough and up into the first team. But no, jokes aside, in truth, this is a guy who's played at the highest level, been coached by the best, also has his UEFA Pro license, meaning that he's gone through the school bits. He's got his badges covered as well. He's one of those younger coaches. So for me, astute appointment. Just like any appointment, if they brought Mauricio Pochettino in to replace Sarri, it was a risk. It's a risk in any light. Let's just see how it goes, and I believe that he's going to do well.
Mike, they want to win the Champions League. They want to improve their standings, and they haven't been able to do that. An appointment like this, does it give them confidence, or do you think they'll more likely be giving him time to get the squad where they need to be?
I don't think you get time at teams like Juventus. These are teams that demand success. They've got a very poor appetite for failure. And so they'll demand at the very least that they continue their dominance in Italian football. Classically, Juventus have never dominated Europe. I think they won the competition, in 1997, thereabouts. They've won it once, and I think in that period they were sort of like played in 3 finals. They've always underachieved, and I think they'd lost another final in 2003, lost another final in 2015 to Barcelona. So they've never been, one of the top teams in Europe. They're looking to win another title. So I think Andrea Pirlo, for me, the task at hand will be to immediately retain the Scudetto and then to try and make an impression. It was the manner in which they were knocked out of Europe, I think, that led to the axe falling on Sarri. They can they can afford or accept losing to Bayern Munich, to Real Madrid, to Barcelona. But when you lose to Lyon, who are 7th in the French league, I think it demanded that the axe would fall. And with no one being available who they wanted, because the rumors are that they want Zidane or Guardiola to succeed or to get into the post long term, I think they went for Pirlo as a stopgap measure. I think he'll be there in the interim until one of those is available.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow for our shortened edition, the Thursday throwback edition. Don't miss it. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.